welcome to Carly's Colorful Corner, where you will learn how to paint your cardinal realistically using watercolor. At the very beginning of this project, you're going to want to pick out three separate types of paintbrushes. Preferably a really small one for detail, a medium one to get through the smaller spaces but not so small spaces, and then the nice big fat one to kind of get through the base or the general area of your cardinal. And let's get started. We're going to begin this project with very thin wash. So add some water to your brush, squeeze out the excess water. You want your brush to be damp but not necessarily soaking wet. If it's soaking wet, you're going to have a problem. And then take just the corner of your paintbrush and dip it into your watercolor of your choice and use that to spread across the wash that you have just put down. The reason that we are doing only the corner of our paintbrush is explicitly because we want our red to be nice and light, because that's going to be our filler shade. It's going to fill in the general body of your cardinal, and then we're going to slowly build upon our filler shade with other layers of paint to create a sense of value, or a dark to lightness or a light to darkness sort of gig. So just take your time with this. If it's too dark, you might be able to spread the paint to other areas of the body to fill in those open spaces, or you can use the lift technique with a clean cloth. Your artwork, your choice, just take your time. For this area of the body, I have way too much water. You see how it's pooling here on the surface of my paper? In that situation, don't fret. You can either take a clean cloth and lift the extra water off the paper, or you can squeeze out the extra water on your paintbrush and drag that puddle and spread it out into other areas of the body to continue that thin wash that we were talking about. Too much water will make your paints go awry, meaning they'll go kind of all over the place, they'll splash everywhere, they'll muddy up other colors if you're not careful. So you don't want too much water. You don't want to see water on your paper. You want a like a sheen of clear, translucent water on the top of your paper, not a puddle. So if you have this problem, don't fret. Just move that color or thin it out by moving it to other places, or lift it right off the paper with a cloth. As we head into the head, no pun intended, of your cardinal and this smaller wing area, you may want to switch out to a smaller brush. This will give you more control, and it will help you stay within the lines more easily as you're spreading out your wash. Oh no! This area that I have just put down on the top of the cardinal's head is way too bright and way too thick of paint. So we're going to spread this color out by adding it to different parts of the body, because we don't want one area to be way too vibrant than the other. The whole goal here is to move gradually from dark to light and light to dark. Sometimes you might just have to lift the color right off the paper in order to lighten it as such. Now it is time to build on that fine wash that you have placed down on your paper by adding another layer of paint. Slowly work your way up from light to dark by adding a little bit of paint at a time. and working on your cardinal as a whole. Don't just focus on one area. Move your paintbrush around to ensure that you have values that are consistent all the way across your bird. You don't want one area to be super detailed and the other area to be super not detailed, because then your piece won't look as a unified whole. Let's add some vibrancy or some darker reds to the top of that wing to kind of make it pop up and out of the spine. Time to put some dark action underneath that wing and a few strokes throughout the feathers to kind of define the separation of each feather along the bird's wingspan, and some shadow along the stomach and the underside of the leg as well. Don't forget to detail or add detail out onto the tail of the bird as well. You can do this by constantly going back and revisiting your red paint with the tip or the corner of your paintbrush, and then you just stroke that puppy on there for your darker red and just keep going back and forth. Paper, paint, paper, paint, paper, paint as you draw and sketch those color blocks in. It's time to add some details to the tufts of your cardinal. Use the very edge of your flat brush, just the bristles, to stroke gently and lightly and quickly along the top of your paper to get those kind of feathery blocks of color in. And then we will start eventually working on the face, but we need to give this bird a moment to dry before moving forward. As we wait for our bird to dry, I'm going to briefly show you how to create a three-dimensional tree. You can decide what you'd like to add to your piece after today's video, but same rule applies. Basic light green wash, very translucent, very, very light, thin sheen of water. And then you're going to start adding a little more to your paintbrush using the tip by dipping it into the green and adding it to a side of your choice. First, you need to define where your light source will be. Your light source will be on the side in which your tree will be the lightest, and this dark shadow will be on the opposite side. Once you're done blocking in the general shape of your shadow, you're going to squeeze out the excess remainder of your water on your brush, and then you're going to lather up some of the dark on the very tips of your bristles and use your bristles to draw in the underside of the tree bows on your light source side and on your shadow side as well. This will give it the definition that there's shadow underneath each branch. And then we'll go and we'll start blocking in the face and the eye area of your bird with black. For the eye area, you're definitely going to want to switch out to a smaller brush. You're going to want to make sure that your brush is damp, but you have loads of black watercolor on it. You're going to outline the shape of your face mask for your cardinal and then drag that dark line that you've just put in, drag it in towards the inside of the shape. That way you are staying within the shape's lines and you're remaining or you're maintaining a consistency in the darkness of your paint. Now your paint might thin out a little bit because you are stretching or pushing the paint across the paper, so it might thin out a bit. Once your paper dries, add another layer of darkness. Now for the outside of your face mask, once you're done kind of blocking in the general shape of your face mask, use the very edge of your bristles to feather in those kind of feathery, scratchy strokes around the face to kind of get a sense that there's feathers and there's a shift in feathers as it wraps around the skull of your bird. And don't worry about covering where your eye's at. You can always go back in with some white out and dab a highlight circle where your eye's supposed to be after your paint and your painting itself dries. But right now we're basically trying to fill in the shape, and it might be hard to do around the eye if you don't have a really tiny brush. For me, I don't have one, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add white out at the end of my painting. Now it's time to use black very sparingly as you move around the cardinal's body. I do the underside of your wing, the underside of your stomach, and a little tiny bit of strokes on your tail feather. I wouldn't get too crazy with this black because it will mute your color and it will make your painting look flat if you use too much of it. Now it's time to start working on our legs. I am going to take, kind of like I did with my facial mask for my cardinal, I'm going to have a damp brush. I'm going to make sure it's clean. I'm going to gather up some brown paint, probably at the corner tip of my brush, and I'm going to put in a nice thin stroke of darkness along the underside of my leg. And if I go too dark, I can always pick up that paint and use it to put in my talons and to stroke in my tree branches in which my cardinal will sit upon. So if you go too dark, don't panic. Just use and scrape up that extra paint and spread it on different areas of your paper with purpose. And if you've already done that and it's still too dark, then take a cloth, a clean cloth, and lift that extra paint off the paper. But as you do this, make sure your cloth is clean, because if it's not, it's going to get on the white of your paper. So this is how you can kind of create a dark to light gradient using watercolor. There you have it, my friends. This is how you create a realistic cardinal using a series of washes, a series of blending and building of colors. We're just going to focus on the cardinal for today. You get to choose what you would like to add to your background. If you want to have evergreen leaves on your branches, totally up to you. The main idea today was teaching you how to blend and how to use washes to create a realistic shading technique. And in the meantime, I look forward to seeing you in the classroom. For more tips and tricks, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Carly's Colorful Corner or follow us on Facebook.